I was building a pretty nice house about 10 years ago. And I was pissed this day. Just pissed. Everything was wrong. The contractor was screwed up. Some appointment had canceled. I'm furious. And I walk in, there's construction happening. I walk in, where is this motherfucker? You know, with my wife. There's about 10 dudes in there working. Mm-hmm. They're all from Mexico.
Yeah.
They're playing music, they're dancing, they're partying, they're having a great time. They're making $10 an hour.
Yeah.
And I remember standing there going, how is it the dude building this mansion is 1/50th as happy as the dude's working on building this other man's mansion? What the hell is wrong with me?
Yeah.
And that was a lack of gratitude in my life. Those guys were grateful for what they had. Their happiness is connected to how grateful they were to be on that job, to be together, to be doing something they were great at doing, whether they were a roofer or a mason. They were great at what they did. They were using their gifts. They were happy. They were grateful. And if life was based on happiness, is that how you measure life? They're living a better life than me.
Elon Musk is not that rich. Contrary to people's belief, billionaires are not the richest people on the planet. You know who is? Children. Children are the richest people on the planet. Why? Because they have something billionaires do not, and that's time. Ask Warren Buffett if he wouldn't give up all his money to be 18 again. He wouldn't a heartbeat, but he can't. And that's why I always say, real wealth is having something money can't buy.
The day you trade expectation for appreciation is the day you become wealthy. Because as long as you're expecting things, you're going to be disappointed. You're expecting people to be a certain way. They're not going to be. If the only time you're happy is when they all act and behave a certain way, you're not going to be happy very much. Or if you're happy, it'll be for a short period of time. You expect your spouse to be a certain way. You expect your kids to be a certain way. You expect your coworkers to be a certain way. You expect yourself to be a certain way. How about appreciation? That's the game. Because if you can appreciate the littlest things, you got gifts that nobody else has. So the first place to be wealthy is psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. And that place has to get regular deposits. And that means, just like some of you meditate, you need a daily discipline of magic moments, and you got to learn to capture the little ones. And that muscle's got to be built. So what's your daily practice? You can call it whatever you want. We'll call it here magic moments. Every day I want you to capture at least 2 to 3 magic moments minimum. It could have been a conversation with a friend. It could have been a moment when an insight happened. It could have been a moment on the mountain. It could have been a little insight or distinction that you got that changed it. But you don't just capture it and write it down. You want to feel it and realize its value. You want to feel it like it's grace, like it's a gift that's been given to you. And what you're doing is appreciating that gift. If you're really frustrated or sad or worried or depressed, or you think something horrible's happened, my favorite question to ask myself is, what else could this mean? And I make myself come up with at least 3 different meanings. Because what happens is beliefs become self-fulfilling. See, once you believe something, you don't see anything else. I've done this with your audience before. I said, look around the room and find brown. Everybody looks around. And I say, now with your eyes closed, tell me you saw that was red. And nobody sees much red. And I say, open your eyes, look for red. And they find more red. Why do you find more red? Because you get what you look for. Your beliefs condition you to find. And then I say, how many saw, I said, you even saw things that weren't there. How many saw beige stuff, called it brown just to feel successful? And they all laugh. You know? How many saw burgundy and called it red? They all laugh. And the reason is because once we're after something, we'll even make the color different to feel successful. If you think somebody's mean, you'll find meanness in them if it's not there. If you think somebody's your dear friend and they do something terrible, you'll say, oh, they're having a bad day. So our beliefs control us. So unquestioned beliefs that produce stress, those are the ones you've got to question. Like people understand is that the quality of your life is the quality of your emotions. If you have $1 billion and every day your habitual emotions are feeling frustrated and stressed and overwhelmed, your life is called frustrated, stressed, and overwhelmed. If you have 3 beautiful children and a great husband or a wife or boyfriend or girlfriend, and every day you worry, your life is not love. Your life is worry. It doesn't matter how you have this beautiful family. So think of it, emotions control the quality of our life. Because your mental emotional state is the single most important ingredient to not only success, but fulfillment. And most of us do not know how to manage it. And when I say manage it, I'm really talking about your mind and your emotions, right? Those are the 2 things that if you can master those, because most people are trying to master the outside world, and you can't control the outside world. You can influence it. But the one thing you can control is how you use your mind, what you do with your emotions.
If I just gave you both $1 million cash, how would you feel?
I would be extremely grateful.
Would anybody be able to get you in a bad mood for a little while?
Absolutely not.
Okay, Deanna, would you agree?
I would agree 100%.
If I said I'll give you the $1 million, matter of fact, I made it 10 million, but you couldn't wake up tomorrow, you're done. Would you take it?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so what you're both saying is that just waking up tomorrow is worth more than $10 million.
That's hell of a perspective. And yep, it is. It is worth.
Then why ain't you feeling that way every damn time you wake up?
Oh, shit. Damn. I never looked at it that way.
Nobody does, dude. That's why we get up and we're all bummed out. We have a bad day, and this sucks, and that sucks, and the world hates me, and that's not fair, and I can't lose weight because of this reason, and I can't get in shape, and I can't make money, and blah, 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 blah. Guys, we woke up. It's gonna be a good day. The question is how good is it gonna get?
Right.
And if it doesn't get as good as we want, guess what? Hopefully we wake up the next day.
Couples, when you're fighting, just remember, man, you only have so much time to love each other. One of these days, you're going to have to say goodbye. And you know what? In funeral after funeral after funeral, nobody says, I wish we would have fought more. You know? I've never heard a wife from the grave scream, underwear on the floor! Never. All those things. I remember when we buried my grandfather, I stood with my grandmother over his casket, and she looked at me and she said, I'm so sorry. And I said, for what, Grandma? And she said, I was so critical of him while he was alive. And I miss him terribly now that he's dead. And she said this, I wish I could say I was sorry. That's pretty real. You know what she's sorry for? All the time and all the moments she killed. Because you don't get those back.
How many of you, when something really great happens in your life, you sometimes lower your energy about it because you don't want to make somebody else feel bad? How many sometimes do this? And what it does, it teaches your brain it's not good to feel too happy all the time. And that's the wrong thing to train. So let's do this. If you want to experience more joy, I've done this with athletes, business people, and in the beginning they think it's juvenile. And then after about doing it for 10 or 20 times, they're like, oh my God, this is fantastic. When you get in a place where you've lost some of that energy, what you need to do is part of what you guys teach, which is the celebrate part. Very few people celebrate, but most people wait till an unbelievable thing happens to celebrate. If you wait till that happens, you're not going to be happy. Most people don't need a reason to feel like crap. You say to somebody, how you doing? They go, feel like crap. How come? Woke up. You don't need a reason. How many of you have plenty of things in your life today that if you focused on them, you can feel so grateful, so excited about your life? Then here's what you want to do. You don't want to wait to achieve your goal and then celebrate. You want to celebrate so much, there's so much energy, and your goals just happen.
I always have this on my desk. I don't know, just a great reminder of real life. Imagine if you knew for sure exactly how much time you had left. That's our future. The problem is, we don't. We do know, however, it's finite. It's sealed. You can't get any more sand in there. The stuff in the bottom, that's the past. We like to dwell on it. We like to keep looking in the rearview mirror, but you can't bring that back up in the future and run it through again. We don't get a do-over. We don't get to live our lives twice. Nope, all that matters is that little moment, the here and now. And imagine if you had this in front of you at all time and you knew, let's say this was clearly representative of how much time you had left. How much differently would we spend the here and now? What would we edit, take out, say no to? Something to think about.
So I heard this the other day, and this one simple shift in perspective has completely changed the way I'm living. Think about all the tasks that you do every single day. Instead of approaching those tasks as you have to do them, approach them as you get to do them. See, most of us wake up every day and it's, I have to get up and go to work. I have to get up and get my kids ready for school. I have to get up and take the dogs out for a walk. Instead, shift your mindset and think about it like I get to. I get the opportunity today to go to work. I get the opportunity to spend time with my kids and get them ready for school. I get the opportunity to take my dogs on a walk. That simple shift in mindset, you're now approaching life through the lens of gratitude versus the lens of negativity.
And we're down we go. Everybody that you fight is not your enemy, and everybody that helps you is not your friend. And that's what life taught me.
I had a class in high school, and I'll never forget the teacher taught us this really valuable lesson. And she told us a story about a guy who was working on a construction crew. And he took this new job, started up, and the construction crew, they all knew each other, liked to razz each other. And this guy, they noticed that during lunch every single day, he would go off by himself. And he didn't bring a lunch most days. He would just sit there by himself during lunch. And so one day, they think they're gonna play this funny prank. And so they decide, they're like, hey, let's get a bunch of shit that we don't want, and we'll put it in the sack and act like we're gonna give it to him. And so they take like their banana peel, their apple core, like, you know, just put a bunch of bullshit in this bag like that wasn't actually food. And they take it over to him, sitting there by himself. They're like, hey man, we noticed you don't bring a lunch, so we thought we would just chip in and we all got you a lunch today. And their big goof was gonna be, they were gonna open it up and laugh or whatever. And when he saw that it was, but before the guy knew what was in the sack, he's holding it in his hands, the paper sack, and he's like, gets all emotional, he starts crying. He says, I have a young son who's dying of cancer, and every extra dollar we have is going into his treatment. So much so that I have to pass on even having a lunch most days so that we can put the money towards his treatment. So the guy gets all emotional. He's like, this means a lot to me. Like, thank you so much. You guys didn't even know that, and you're just here to help. And they're all just sitting there mortified, right? Of course, obviously finds out it was a prank. You can make what you want of that story, but it just hit me so hard. It's like, we don't know what people are going through. We don't know why somebody wouldn't be by themselves during lunch. He was embarrassed to be with everybody without any food or whatever else. And so we don't know, so just be kind, be generous, and just try to take into account when we're trying to play a prank on somebody. You just never know what people are going through.
I want you just for a moment to think about this simple distinction. That if in order for you to be happy, if everybody has to behave a certain way, whether it be your children, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, how many of you are committed to having a life filled with joy, gratitude, happiness, love? What screws that up? What takes that away? Expectation. Expecting people to be a certain way. Expecting yourself to be a certain way. What would bring back the beauty of your life? A change in focus. What's wrong is always available, so is what's right. If you focus on what's right, you'll have more of it. It's not about being a positive thinker. That's bullshit. It's about being smart. When you focus on what doesn't work, what you can't control, it does not put you in a beautiful state, does it? But you could change that state how fast? Literally in a heartbeat. So right now, think about, what are you grateful for in your life? If you agree that life is too short to suffer, say I. And all you'd have to do to end the suffering is make a real decision. Every single day, I'm gonna live in a beautiful state. That means not that I'm inhuman and I won't get pissed off, I won't get worried, I won't get stressed. It's just I'll catch myself and immediately change it. But I'm gonna do that every day because there's always something to be grateful for. There's always something to appreciate. And from that energized state, I can change my life. But from the state of it being broken, it feels impossible.
Are your parents alive?
Yeah.
How old are your parents, if you don't mind?
70.
Okay, and where do they live?
In different parts of Washington State.
Okay, did you see them?
Yeah.
Pretty often?
Once to 3 times a year.
Okay, so let's say they live to be 78. Which is I hope they don't, but let's say that they live to the average age. So you see them you said 1 to 3 times?
Yeah.
Okay, no you don't. It means you're gonna see them 16, if you see them twice a year, you're gonna see them 16 more times. When you look at it that way, you're like, what? You don't have 8 years with them, you have 16 times with them. And that's the shift in my life. And that's the way I look at things. That's a fundamental shift in the way that I looked at situations. It's created urgency. It's created a need to just like not put stuff off.